And all of a sudden, one night in the middle of the night, I watched Tony Robbins on an infomercial, and I buy his course. I felt like he was talking to me, and I bought his course, and I get it, and I devoured it, Steve. Like, I felt like he was talking to me, and he gave me some fundamental shifts, like life happens for us, not to us. Instead of me being like, oh, why did I get dealt this hand? It was more like, oh God, universe, thank you for this. Because of that, I get to be me. Like, if my parents spoiled me, maybe I'd be miserable doing drugs, but because of that life, it gave me the desire for more. So, oh my God, this all happened for me. And in a moment, my mind shifted. And I focused on solutions more and surrounding myself with the right people. And I realized, oh my God, that's why I'm doing better, because I have these older friends. Let me get more of them. And it just really compounded me. But it did two things to me. One, it really helped me be less hosed up. That really technical term. But number two, it made me realize, wow, Tony took my money and he gave me information, and it shifted my life I wanted in. I think we'll talk later. You had that epiphany at a point in your life, or else you wouldn't be in front of me right now interviewing
100%.
me, right? So there's this epiphany, like my life experience could help someone else. So I said, I'm going to go in the information business, right? I had no freaking clue. I had no following. This is before the internet. This is 1997. There wasn't even MySpace. There wasn't even dial-up on AOL. Like, it was, you couldn't watch a video on AOL, right? It was a modem that, right? So I decided to go in it, and I created a course, and I was going to do real estate, but I had only done I did a bunch of real estate, but I was either going to do real estate or cars. And I was going back and forth, and I ended up picking cars first, because that's how I made my first big chunk of money, or consistent money to invest I made from flipping cars. And I created a course called Motor Millions. I taught people how to flip cars through the classified ads. In fact, it's in the other room. Scott, if you get it, it's so funny. I got it. It was in a box that we found about a month ago from literally 1997. Like, this is literally the course I created in 1997.
Oh man, amazing videos.
VHS and all that, right? It's funny. I'm going to show this during the challenge Tony and I are doing. But I created this course, and then, like all of us, and maybe you felt this way when you launched your podcast and you're doing what you're doing, like, I was so fired up by what I learned from Tony, right? So excited about what he shared. I kind of put everything else on hold. I went back to that 17-year-old naive, I could just do it. But I was a little older then. So by the time I got done and realized I had to create books and put product in the warehouse and hire a company, hire a call center, I had to put $50,000 in prepaid media. It cost $100,000 to produce the infomercial. I'm $250 grand in, pretty much every dollar I had, into something where I'm not Tony Robbins. And I remember my sister sat me down and she's like, we're so proud of you. You're the most successful person in our family. But you went too far, you're going broke, you're gonna lose everything. Stop this obsession. You're not an educator, you're not a teacher. You are great at cars, you are great at real estate. You're not Tony, you're not 6'7", dynamic, you don't have millions of dollars. And I just remember this gutted feeling of like, again, that same two voices I told you at 17, the one was like, you're a freaking idiot. You just blew every dime that you saved up your entire life. You were broke as a kid, then you weren't, now you're broke again, you'll never do this, you're gonna lose everything. And then there was the other voice that said, you're meant for more. You could help people. You could share your story. You could teach what you did in real estate. If you can come from nothing and make this, imagine what you could do for other people. And those two voices, again, were a millimeter apart, Steve. And I remember literally in the little town where I grew up, the place I took a walk. I took a walk, and these two voices and me had it out. And I would love to say no way I was quitting. I was a hairline away from just going, hey, I should be lucky with the life I have. I have real estate. I have a tow truck company. I have Dean Collision Center, for God's sakes, right?
I should just be grateful.
I should be grateful. Why am I so greedy, right? But something that they just wouldn't let me settle. That probably the day you decided to do a podcast or all the things that you've accomplished in your life, man. You wouldn't be here if you didn't do great things in your life. And I just decided to go for it. And I was going to do it, and there was nobody going to talk me out of it. And I launched Motor Millions, and ups and downs, and I figured out this digital world, or this product world, and it was different because I had to do an infomercial. There was no other way to sell. People are like, why'd you do an infomercial? It's like, what else was there? Like direct mail and infomercials and yellow pages. Like
that was it.
That was it. And I figured it out, and when I got momentum, by then I had done a lot more real estate deals, not thousands, maybe 30 deals my whole life. And I launched a real estate course probably 20 years ago now, or 19 years ago, called Think a Little Different. And I just laid out all the deals that I had done.
Think a little different.
Yeah, I laid out
pretty close to that whole Apple.
Yeah, and I laid out how I did the deals I had done up until that point, and it became a monster hit. The car infomercial and car digital product did okay. That took me to a whole new level, and I think we went on to surely be the #1 real estate educator for a decade.
Yeah.
We changed a lot of lives, and it was amazing. And during that journey, I became friends with Tony Robbins, the guy that changed my life. And all we ever talked about was self-education and selling courses and products to change people's lives. And over the last few years, I've merged into showing people what I've done in that space, right? I learned cars, then taught it. Real estate, then taught it. Now how to sell what you know.
Yeah, and I think that's so powerful. And we were kind of talking about this offline, but for a lot of you guys that are watching the show, you guys have heard me talk about, I launched this podcast because I was at The Edge by Dean Graziosi, and there was this guy on stage, Brandon Bashar, saying, people want to hear your story, people want to hear your story. And he's like, you got to do one of 3 things. You either got to start a blog, you need to write a book, or you need to start a podcast. And in my head, I was like, I already have a blog, it sucks. Right? I already wrote a book, it's gone absolutely nowhere. Let's just start a podcast, see what happens, right? Wow. And I remember it was Saturday when when Brandon was on stage saying it.
Yep.
I made a commitment on Facebook that following Wednesday that, guys, tune in next week. I'm going to do my first podcast. And
what a great story.
A week after that, I got my podcast, right? So I launched it, and it was one of those things like, let me just do 10 episodes.
See how it goes. And if it sucks, nobody will know. Nobody will know.
No one will know.
You don't even tell anybody.
Right. Yeah. But if it goes great, then, this will be life-changing. And so not only has it been life-changing for myself, but you just had, Pace was just in here, and, I like to say I'm a small part of his story, right? Because, and a few of others of our friends, was that this podcast that started has helped a lot of people, but it would never have existed if it wasn't you on stage talking about personal development. So like the impacts, the waves that you create, it's just crazy.
It's a ripple effect that
you don't know where it stops.
It doesn't